So this is actually a subject that I was debating whether I should or I shouldn't. I just think that it's too big of a subject and people care too much about it for it to necessarily be ignored. One of the reasons why I don't talk about it as much is people rely on drugs too much to get in shape. So when they see someone on Instagram and they think to themselves, how did that person do that? It's not, did they dedicate themselves? Did they stick to a diet? Did they train really, really hard day in, day out? More often than not, what I see and what I read is people attribute it to the drugs. So instead of those questions about what they did to get there, it's what steroids, what cycle are you on? So yeah, whether I like it or not, it's part of it. I thought I'd be really, really transparent. I do try and be transparent on my Instagram anyway, but I thought go into a tiny bit more detail here to explain to people what it is I do, what it is I think is good for people who are contemplating using steroids. First and foremost, it is up to you. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Ultimately, you are altering the hormones within your body. It potentially could have lifelong effects, negative effects. And also remember, the things that I'm saying, the things that I'm saying are just my opinion and my experience. So whatever you choose to do, that's up to you. The steroid cycle that I take, it's something that I've always favored from the very, very beginning. I started taking in 2011, but up until 2015, it was marginal. It was almost like I don't even know why I took them, because I wasn't ready mentally. I was trying to get a bit more size, but I was living quite a poor lifestyle. 2015 is when I really changed my life around and I started competing in bodybuilding. That's when my steroid cycle started taking a bit more of an upturn in terms of like quantity, to get the most from the least. So many people are trying to drug themselves into shape, and I think it's such a mistake. Let the diet and the training do the talking. Steroids are just an amplifier for that. I'm under no illusion, steroids absolutely do make that difference, they do. But I think people think they make a bigger difference than they do. If done correctly, they can be pretty safe. The horror stories that you'll read about steroids and the steroid misuse, steroid abuse, rather than steroid use, they aren't all bad. The internet and people like Dave down the pub will have you believe, well, my mate took it, it was a fucking nightmare. Or how many people do you know, my mate used to take steroids and it made him go crazy. You're using it as a scapegoat. Ultimately, if somebody is going crazy all the time, they're probably a little bit crazy. Steroids won't just magically make you into a different person. They will, however, amplify what you're already prone to doing. It affects everyone differently. My account of things won't necessarily align with someone else's account of things. I happen to think that they're fairly mild. I don't particularly, whether I'm on them or not, you wouldn't necessarily know. I've got a temper, but I have that anyway, and I had that when I was a kid. It doesn't really affect me too much, but then some other people will tell you that it affects everything, and everything goes to pot, and they go crazy, they go loopy. So there isn't just one set answer. 2011 to 2015, I did various testosterone only cycles. I think maybe I would have done 3, maybe 4 in that time. I honestly noticed maybe a couple of pounds in weight gain. Didn't really notice much else, because the reason being I was living a bit of a poor lifestyle. So what I'm trying to get at is, if the other things aren't in place, you should be aligning everything before you think about doing this. As I say, they're not to be taken lightly. As time's progressed, I have increased the quantity, as I just mentioned. I take them at my own risk. I'm not, as I say, I'm not suggesting anyone else do it, and whatever anyone else does, that's on them. My choice is to do this. A general rule of thumb that I use is, if anyone's really extreme, either way, you can kind of disregard their opinions. You'll have people who say steroids are going to kill you no matter what, and it's a little bit extreme. On the flip side of that, I know people personally who will just chuck in steroids for the sake of it. Jesus Christ. As with most things in life, the extremes are probably not wise. So now to get onto my steroid cycle: testosterone, trenbolone, and masteron. Let the training and the diet do the talking. These things are just there to amplify. And before a competition, I will turn things up. So in terms of dosages, currently right now, I'm running 600 milligrams of testosterone propionate, 300 milligrams of trenbolone acetate, 600 milligrams of masteron propionate. In fact, I've seen some steroid courses with sometimes upwards of 10 different compounds going on. And again, to each their own, that's just not my methodology. I forgot what I was about to say. I'm literally sweating. As I say, I was a little bit reluctant to do this video. I don't like people putting too much emphasis on the drugs. Yes, they are part of bodybuilding. I think people think that that's the only reason. And I can tell you now, I know hundreds of people who use steroids, and I know very few people who are truly in shape. You need to do your own research based on actual scientific papers. If you don't do those things, then be prepared to potentially face negative side effects, negative consequences. My best advice would be modest. Try not to overdo it. Try not to put yourself in any danger, any risk, any health complications.
Hey baby.
Yo.
Your favourite package has arrived.
Shit. Wow, I didn't even know that was happening. These guys are fucking good to me. I mean, I wear all their stuff anyway. Even the t-shirt.
Lucky boy.
They sent some stuff to her last time. I was a little bit human about that. One less thing for me.
They just sent the wrong size and it happened to fit me.
Yeah. Anyway, to conclude, steroids, if used correctly, can be an amazing tool. They are part of bodybuilding. People say about them being, you know, you're cheating if you're using them. If everyone's using them that you're going against, you're not exactly cheating. It's a level playing field. It's controversial. Not everyone agrees with them. That's okay. You don't need to agree. It's really not up to you. That's it, really. I'm going to try my best to be as safe as possible. There are obviously risks involved, but I'm going to do my best to be safe and be the best bodybuilder I can be. I realize if you do this, it creates more emphasis for me. Sorry. Yeah, so no, thank you. So there is also another side of steroids, the effects have on other people, be that your family, your friends, or even your partner. The effects that it has on you is one thing, but how it affects others around you in your life, that's another. So
steroids, what do I think about them? What do I know about them? Not an awful lot. I have done a little bit of research into the steroids that Ryan takes. Just so I can throw it back in his face when he's being grumpy, I can blame it on the trend. I've done my own research just so I know a bit about it, so I can help advise him. And I guess, let's be honest, in case anything ever goes wrong. I always thought before, Ryan, would I be okay having a boyfriend that was on steroids? Like, how would that affect me? And obviously everyone's heard of roid rage, right? Apparently Ryan was a grumpy bastard before I even met him. As far as I'm concerned, Ryan did the steroids before he even met me. They were a part of his life before I was. I'd never try to change that. As long as he's doing everything as safe as he possibly can, he's getting his bloods done, he's actually physically putting them in himself, right? Then I'm happy. And actually, I think it's quite romantic sticking needles in his bum. I'll tell you what, there's definitely something they don't make bigger though.
Huh? What? That's enough steroid chat. I need some overpriced coffee. Do you know anywhere?
Costa! I'm gonna be buzzing.
Good.